Hi, I'm Robin Vitucci. On behalf of the AFT, welcome to Teaching. This is the sixth and final episode of our conversation series that gives real-time insights into the goals, challenges, and successes of two early career teachers. Each episode, they have been joined by a veteran AFT leader to hear their stories and provide some guidance on their journey of teaching. You'll be able to find this episode and all the others on AFT's sharemylesson.com. All episodes include accompanying links and resources to go along with the discussion. Now let's get into this month's conversation, Union Partnership and the Path to Thriving in Teaching. Our teachers once again are Sam and Kelly. Why don't you two remind everyone a little bit about yourselves?
Yeah, hi, I'm Kelly Stanifer. I'm a second year teacher in a third and fourth grade autism unit. I've been a union member for 2 years now with Cincinnati Public.
And I'm Sam Ramey. I'm a seventh grade social studies teacher, also in Cincinnati Public Schools. And I've also been a part of the union for my second year now.
Thanks. For this episode, instead of talking about a specific issue, Sam and Kelly are going to share their thoughts on what it was like to participate in this conversation series. They'll discuss what they might have learned, what they wish they had learned before entering the teaching profession, and what their paths look like moving forward. To lead this conversation, we will be joined by Julie Sellers, president of the Cincinnati Federation of Teachers. Julie is excited to hear from Sam and Kelly, two teachers in her local union. This conversation should help give insight to veteran educators and leaders on how to better support new teachers. We'll also learn how teachers can be more involved in their unions to help them thrive in the teaching profession. Thank you, President Sellers, for joining us today. And now I'm going to turn it over to you to start this conversation.
Thank you, Robin. I am really excited to be here this evening with Sam and Kelly as we talk about their teaching journey within the Cincinnati Public Schools and as members of the Cincinnati Federation of Teachers. I know that both of you have talked to some amazing AFT trainers over the last few months, and I would love to hear more about your experiences as new teachers. How did you each feel when you first started teaching, and what did you feel was the most stressful, and what do you think you were most prepared for as you started your career?
So, in my first year teaching, I think I was kind of mentally preparing myself to get to know all the curriculum and all the expectations of being a teacher. But especially in a unit, there's a lot of adults to work with. And I think that's been the biggest adjustment for me. Um, just because it is kind of a high intensity area, and then to have different personalities all working together, it's been interesting to find a balance. And I would have liked to maybe do like a role play or something, have a specific training for that before I went into the year.
Yeah, I like how
agree.
you mentioned a role play, Kelly, because the other day I was talking to somebody in different context, but we were having a conversation. I was saying I wish I would have role played like actual classroom management prior to I mean, you do it, you go through student teaching, but it's just different because you have like another adult in the room. Um, and then like you talk about different classroom management techniques in class, and like theory is great until you're the one leading the classroom and there are like 50 different things going on and a bunch of different behaviors going on, and you just feel overwhelmed. And like a lot of that, it takes time to learn how to manage all that and be successful. But like I think it would have been beneficial to like really role play. Like I think about my graduate cohort, like what if and I loved my graduate program, by the way, and it prepared me in a lot of ways. But, one thing I think would have been beneficial is if like we did like mock teaching, which we did, but then maybe some of the cohort members who aren't like the teacher, are, misbehaving in the class. And then that person has to like practice, how do you discipline in the moment and how do you manage the classroom? I think those things would have helped me early on because it is just so much, and you often feel like you're drowning as a first year teacher. And it's just those little things that can help you so much. They're so small.
That's great. How has participating in these conversations helped you with your practice? Have you felt like you benefited having the conversations with other teachers?
Yeah, I absolutely do. I've really enjoyed these conversations. because it's a unique opportunity to talk to just get different perspectives. You're kind of out of your bubble a little bit. And then you're getting different perspectives on a wide variety of topics. So, I think of, we had a session talking about mindfulness and really breaking down strategies on how you can use that in the classroom. And those are things I started to do and things I do more now. Like my class after lunch, every day, we meditate every day for at least 5 minutes because that is my rowdiest class. And I think a lot of it is just them coming at after lunch because they're all hyped up. But like we've practiced it. You have to teach them how to do it. And like it has helped a lot. Not that it's solved all of our problems, but like, I mean, just getting them to breathe and calm down and transition from lunchtime to the classroom. Those things, talking those things out with other people and getting different ideas has been wonderful, in my opinion.
And those are the types of strategies that students can take with them throughout their years as a student, but even into adulthood. I think those are really good strategies for young youth to learn.
Mhm.
And Kelly, how did you feel about it?
Similar to Sam, like I liked getting everybody's perspective because I do think teaching can kind of feel like you're on an island sometimes. So then having these people from all over come and talk to us and kind of reiterate some things and teach us new things, I feel like has been helpful. I the time management one and setting boundaries for ourselves really spoke to me because I've given time during the day to communicate with parents. Like I've scheduled aside times. Um, Whereas before I was kind of waiting till the end of the day. And I know last year I would talk to parents 2, 3 hours after school, and I haven't done that this year, and I can feel that it's a lot better.
Yeah, the time management, that even goes back to the first question, because like you think you're good at time management as a student, and then you start teaching, and it's like a different world. It's like, what is it's hard, like it's a whole different time management. Like I was just, it's like a culture shock. Like how do I manage the thousand things I have to do? So like Kelly, I definitely appreciated that conversation too, because it pushed me to be more organized with my parent calls and all the other things we do, but also just to prioritize ourselves first so we can be the best versions of ourselves each day.
Right. And like I don't know about you, Sam, but that's why I wanted to be a part of the podcast, was kind of to get to know more people and to tell other people about my experience so that it doesn't feel like, so that you're reinforced you're not alone. And
Yeah,
so I feel like a lot of people struggle with the time management, and even like you're starting to do something and then 5 other little things come on. So I really like the way that this has connected us to everybody.
absolutely.
That's great. Do you think that this is something that you would think other new teachers would find beneficial if we started something like this within our district?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And I think exactly for the reason Kelly said, because um, you know, I, I don't know, teachers often seem to be like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but like teachers often seem to be the type of people who are like excelled students in school. The kids who are, you know, did well on the tests and, did well with behavior and such, and like always want to be perfect. And
Mm-hmm.
then you start teaching and it's impossible to be perfect, literally. Like I've never met a perfect teacher. It's just such a challenging job. Um, and then you have this type of space to where you want to be perfect and you think you should be perfect, and in your head you have this perception of what that looks like, and you get frustrated when you're not meeting those expectations, and then you have the opportunity to you know like Kelly said, be validated because all these other people are going through the same thing. And it's
Mm-hmm.
and it's not just a complaint session either, it's a productive session of like, all right, we all have this experience now, what are some strategies to help us get better together? So I think it would be a great idea to get more young teachers involved in these types of conversations.
After your first few years of teaching, what is it that you wish that you would have learned during your teacher prep?
Again, for me, I wish there was a role playing or like maybe a way of focusing on like how to get to the core of who you are as people and how to work together with your teammates. And even like, I know there's grade level teams and we have a sped team and um resource rooms. Your gen ed is working with specialists, and just like a way, I know it's a bit of character, but also like a training to work with these different personalities would have maybe been helpful.
Mhm. And
Yeah,
they usually that in
oh, sorry.
college, they never teach you how to work together as a team and how to accept all the different types of teachers you'll be working with.
Right.
That's for sure, because I think about my graduate program and you're surrounded by a bunch of like-minded people. And then you have to, at least from my experience, it was a small cohort, like 12 of us. We were all very similar, but different in a lot of ways, but education-wise, similar. And then you get into the field and you have to learn how to collaborate with people who don't see things the same way and get those different perspectives. So I agree with that completely. I'd also kind of reiterate what I said earlier too about classroom management, and more specifically, I think learning the art of like, I had a principal my first year teaching. He said balancing the hammer and the hug, because we spent a lot of time in grad school about the importance of relationships, and they're so important. And I think the power of like is so important. Like, I want my students to like me, because if they like and trust me, they're going to be much more willing to learn. And that's important. But like, if you don't know how to balance that with holding them to a very high expectation and consequencing them to hold them accountable, now you're doing them a disservice. And I think I mean, I think really this year I've seen myself turn that corner of being able to have the hammer and also the hug, and see my students understand, like, they get mad at me, obviously, as kids do when they're consequenced, but um, understand that's coming from a place of, love and accountability, not just to, have authority over them. But I think those types of conversations and techniques, even to learn how to do that early on, would have been helpful in my, pre-service teaching program.
Kelly, did you feel like you had enough training on classroom management when you were in college for what you had to really deal with in the classroom today?
That's interesting. Yes and no. Because talking about the role playing situations, and Sam, how you said you wished for one of our trainings to role play behaviors. In my it was kind of like a applied behavior analysis class, but um my professor had us act out students in disruptive behaviors while like you were practicing teaching and someone was in this behavior and you had to handle it in front of the whole class. And I do feel like I went to UC. I feel like UC did a really good job with special education. Um, I do feel like there are things that happen almost on a daily basis where I'm like, I don't know how to handle this because it's just so out of left field that like how do you react? I'm trying to think of an example today. Oh, okay. Well, the other day I had a student I told him to go to the bathroom and he went to the water fountain and pulled down his pants and said, "Oh, that's not it," because he just got his routine. He usually got water before he went to the bathroom and he got his routine mixed up. So, like, how do you manage that as a teacher? And
That is beyond the
how do you
problems
prepare
I
teachers for
face,
that?
Kelly. I don't even know what advice or comment to give. That is out of my skill set.
I would have gone in the hallway and laughed.
Right. So, I mean, I was like, I couldn't even, I mean, it
Yeah,
is what it is.
yeah, you never know what you're going to have in some of the units. I
Right.
think that's more normal. We do have, and you might want to really be on the lookout. We have a class that is taught by teachers who've been trained by AFT on managing behaviors. And we have an elementary and a high school. It isn't grade level specific, but every teacher who goes through it loves it. So that may be something you want to be on the lookout for also. I know the teachers who teach it, they're super supportive, and everybody in your class, then you would be developing those relationships with. One of the things that I have found in Cincinnati Public is developing not just the relationships with your students, but with your peers. That is going to really be your survival of the profession over the years. And the people that you meet, I'm still friends with people that I worked with 35 years ago. And it's amazing. Like, we are still very close. We don't see each other all the time, but when we do, it's like there's no time between from the last time we saw each other till now. So develop those relationships. Sometimes some people will stay at schools even though they don't like the school, but they're so connected to the people they work with that they feel like that's their support. But if I always looked at Cincinnati Public as there are so many great opportunities here that you can, if you don't like one school or one grade or one type of class, you can always transfer because there's hundreds of opportunities every year. If you're not happy, move to a place where you will be happy. And that's nothing that's negative on the teacher, but a lot of new teachers never want to move to a new environment or situation.
I actually did that. So last year I kind of had a not great situation. I was the first unit and only unit at my school, and then I had a situation with a para. So then I switched schools, and this year I have a team of 5 other units, and they're all like-minded and understand what they go through the same thing that I do every day. So like we're obviously gonna bond. But it has made the biggest difference in my life to have people on my side and like not feel like I'm on an island.
Right. And I think that's what a lot of young teachers, they have anxiety over, that this is never going to change, but it changes every year.
Right. And it was a hard decision to like, do I want to make this change? And I know I have peers that teach at private schools that don't have unions, and they're kind of in some not great situations, and they're scared of making that change and jumping. But I feel like the sooner you do it, the better, because then the longer you wait, the more stuck in your way you're getting. So from someone who's done
And
it.
I think you become more disenchanted if the longer you wait in a situation where you're not happy. Why did you both decide to join the union?
I'll start with this because Kelly, you brought up something about, teachers in private schools, and my first year I was in a charter school, and we did not have a union. And I learned a ton of valuable lessons from that school, and there was, a lot of things that school did great. But definitely not having a union, our time was, for sure abused. And I talked about this in a previous episode, there were weeks where I was working like 60+ hour weeks. And I was taking PTO to work, like, because we would have meetings like almost every day for hours, and I didn't have time to do anything. Like, so I was taking PTO to get out of these meetings so I could then catch up on my lesson plans and my grades. And like it was just a lot. And so then we moved, and Julie, I actually remember at my orientation, you were giving a speech and talking about the union. And I was like, all right, like union's probably great and I'll sign up, whatever. At first it wasn't even like a big deal, but then as I started to teach and I started to see how, things were structured, again, not that everything is perfect by any means, but like, man, am I glad to have a union behind me. And I mean, it was a huge, I felt weight come off my shoulders. Like I was like, I have time to do my job. Like this is unbelievable. And like, I mean, I like my work-life balance got better. My stress levels were better. And again, like teaching's hard. Like I have stressful days, don't get me wrong. Like, but like just knowing that I have a lot more time. Still, sometimes, teaching's crazy and you run out of time. And that's why we talk about time management, prioritizing ourselves. But the timepiece for me was the big thing I saw. And then also, the support, like, having Glenetta and a mentor around to, help me out and different professional development opportunities, which, I'd like to even learn more about today. But, those were all positives that I noticed right away, which were great.
Right.
Similarly, my older sister taught at a public and a private school, so she's kind of gotten both ends like Sam has. And so then when I was at the new teacher induction, I signed up. And like Sam said, I didn't really think about it that much before. I just knew that it was something that like could protect me if I ever needed it. Um, and then last year I did call the union, and I do feel like there wasn't much that could be done, but it did help me feel supported and know that I had resources and that there was someone on my side.
Yeah. And I wish you would have had a district-wide mentor last year. Sometimes I think new teachers, sometimes you have to request it. I guess your principal thought that you didn't really need the assistance, which is, I mean, that's great, but you can always use more support, especially as a new teacher. And have your expectations been met in terms of being a union member? Would you ever say, oh, I don't want to work in a district that has a union. I would prefer to work in a district without a union or a school without a union?
Oh, I think my previous answer probably
Okay.
speaks for that, but
Yeah.
definitely would prefer to have the union. I think where I'm at is I'm still trying to kind of figure out what the union has to offer, and learn more about it to take advantage of it more. But yeah, again, I mean, not, my previous experience at this charter in Chicago was, taught me a ton, and I worked with a ton of great people, and our administration was, everybody was supportive. It was just without, like, even well-intended leaders can lose sight of their
Mhm.
staff without somebody reminding them of taking care of their staff. Like, I really loved our administration, and they were people truly dedicated to helping children. Like, that was something I loved about that school, is everybody in that building came and was ready to go for the kids. But even those well-intended people, they tend to at that year they were tending to forget that we needed a break as a staff, and we needed support as a staff in different ways that we just weren't getting. So having that now, you know, feels very positive and has helped a ton.
And you are working in a really difficult school with a lot of high need students, and
Yes,
but you're still surviving it.
absolutely. I mean, it's funny. When I transferred, or not, when I moved, I was talking to some different people, and everybody I talked to, like, they'd be like, "Oh, where you working?" I'm like, "West High," and every time the reaction was like, "Ooh, like, good luck." And in my head, I was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "This is fine."
What am
So
I walking
I was like, "What?"
into?
Well, no, it was after, like, I had already been there, and in my
Yeah.
head, I was like, why am I getting? I was like, I'm doing okay. Like, this is compared to how I felt before. Like, I was like, I got two prep bells. Not that, again, like, you still have so much on your plate, but I was like, I actually can breathe a little bit, and have time to learn how to do my job. And we do have a lot of high need students, and that comes with its challenges, but I'm very happy with where I'm at. So yeah, and a lot of that is credit to the support and opportunities through having a union behind you.
I would not work out of school without a union. Like I said, I have friends that are at private behavioral schools, and their principals will come in each day and send them emails of paragraphs after of what they need to do better. And it's like, I could not handle that. So having these resources of people to like, what do I do in this situation? And all of the PD opportunities that the CFT has given through the Share My Lesson.
And we do a lot of stuff here locally. So, but you know, when you're first, you know, the first couple of years, it's hard to ask people to join the teacher leader program or go to another PD on managing behaviors or foundations of reading or foundations of math. So there are a lot of different opportunities that we provide other than what the district provides.
Something I did start this year, so this is through AFT. I started doing graduate courses through, is it Vesey?
Yeah.
The
Uh-huh.
partnership with Ursuline
Yeah.
College. So, I mean, I'm currently in like a SEL course.
Oh, good.
And I'm learning a lot, which is great. And I paid like $275. And through that $275, I'm able to get 9 graduate credits. And so, I mean, and you can do that every year. So, I mean, by year 2, if I do it next year, that's at 18 graduate credits. And not only am I learning a lot, but now I'm working towards, moving up my pay scale, with those hours. And, so I'm loving that because I didn't know about that opportunity. And I was looking at, like, different local colleges, UC, being one of them. And I was like, I don't have thousands of dollars I mean, it would take too long to pay off in the long run with
Right.
the pay. I was like, I can't at this point invest in that. And then I was talking to different people, and I talked to a social studies leader
Coach. Yeah. The
in the
coach.
district.
Yeah.
And she was like, hey, well, there's this option through our union. And I was like, that sounds fabulous, because now my bank account, looks better than it would have, and I still get my graduate credit.
And you can move over on the Masters Plus 30 or the Masters Plus
Yes.
35. And the
Yes.
earlier in your career that you do that, the more money you will make over your career.
Oh
It's
yeah. My
totally
goal
worth
is to be at plus 30 by not next year, but the following year. Um, so I'm working on doing that. And I'm not gonna lie, at first, my ambition was definitely the pay of like getting those hours to get the pay bump. But as you're doing it, like you become a student again, and that's fun
Yeah.
too. Because again, I feel like a lot of teachers are just kind of nerds. And and I definitely am one of those, because I'm like, I forgot what it was like to feel like a student. And I kind of like it. I like being in my class and learning new things and testing it out. It's fun doing it during school too, because I can kind of test out what they're saying and how I can make it my own and incorporate it. So it's been fun.
And you do know that all of the meetings that you're doing with AFT, all of these hours count also. And
Yes.
if you're on ILT, those hours count. So there's a lot that you can put on your renewal of your IPDIP to move up to that Masters Plus 30 or 45. So
Okay.
make sure you talk to someone, talk to Glenetta. She'll tell you who to contact to make sure you're getting all of the credits you should be getting.
Okay. Awesome. I'll do that.
And any of your PD days, those hours count also. Even if it's during the
Yes.
paid day, those hours count towards your Masters Plus 30.
Fantastic. So I know Kelly and I have some questions for you. So, kind of reflecting on this conversation series and how it's impacted Kelly and myself, and hopefully for the listeners as well. What and having this conversation now, Julie, what do you think the union can take away from this type of format?
I love this format. I absolutely love it. And I think that the union should start something for new teachers so that they can develop those relationships where you are working with people, not just at your school, but people who are in similar situations or at different schools so that you can see all of the different options out there and develop those relationships. We have a happy hour every month, and there are literally teachers who met during the new teacher orientation who come every month just so that they can see each other.
That's cool.
So that is, I don't know if you were aware of all of those different monthly happy hours that we have, but
No,
it
I
is,
wasn't.
oh, you weren't, see, there's so much, it's hard to
I
keep up.
know.
I love it. Do you get the weekly, Friday weekly updates? Will
Okay.
usually have reminders in there.
Okay.
And
Cool.
we will also have through that weekly update, we will put out all the information around the PD and different offerings that we have. So
Oh,
that's something, try to stay caught up with everything that we are doing each month, and each week we have the weekly updates. And we a lot of times put out a lot of reminders, like overload forms are due next week. Make sure you get your form signed. I mean, it's
yeah.
just little things that when you're in your classroom, and especially as a new teacher, you may not have the staff lounge where you can talk to people to, get all the latest information.
Yeah. No, I think the happy hour is cool because I like this setting because it is more relaxed and
Mhm.
it's not like you're in a meeting where it has to be
Right,
professional. It's just like you're just chatting. And
right.
then that type of environment leads to, inevitably leads to different conversations that you wouldn't have in a professional setting where you can, feel a little bit more vulnerable to share certain things and more comfortable, you know, getting your ideas out there and getting advice from others. So I think these types of environments would be great for new teachers. So I'm glad that you like it as well because Kelly and I have definitely benefited from it.
I love it. I mean, I immediately jumped in when I started teaching. I just jumped in with both feet because I just wanted to be as involved as, as much as possible. Um, So, and then the teacher leader program, think about that for next year. You will love it. Ryan is the facilitator, and I come just about every month. And we talk about what are the latest things going on with education, how is the state impacting us, what can we do to change some of the things with the state. We talk about national issues in education, but we always talk about policy and the unintended consequences of those policies.
Mhm.
And and it is an interesting conversation every single week.
Mhm.
Do you
Yeah, that's
feel like that conversation helps I don't know if you personally have
It
anxiety,
helps
but
me
my anxiety.
personally. Yes, that's why it's my favorite program, because here I am sitting with 15 or 16 teachers from all across the district, and I get so many ideas for negotiations. And I am able to then, a lot of their action research projects, we have actually, I know that it becomes a problem for a teacher, the unintended consequences. So then I use many of those research projects when we go into negotiations. And that's how we get a lot of our proposals, is through the teacher leader program. So
That's
I love it.
interesting. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's cool.
That is, yeah.
Because I mean, how much more, evidence-based can your arguments and negotiations be other than research and experiences from your actual staff?
Right.
That's a great approach. I like that.
We, one year we were having trouble with getting some language around ESL because there weren't state minimums for caseloads and how many students to service. And I brought in a whole team of ESL teachers. And we got everything we asked for. Because the teachers were there. How could they say no to the teachers? Because
Yeah,
the teachers were like, that's not what's been happening.
yeah.
And so once they hear the reality of the situation, then that's when you can make the changes. So, but that's one reason I love the teacher leader program. It keeps me connected with teachers on an ongoing basis. And every year we have a cohort. And many of those teachers who go through it are teachers who end up becoming um, union leadership within their building. They become a building rep or they join a committee. We have the Human Rights Committee. The chair of that is a teacher from Dater High School, which is on your same campus. but they have written so many resolutions that have really made big changes within our district.
Awesome.
So get involved.
Yeah. Well, so with that, how would you, advise us or even, your colleagues within the union to so I know there's the newsletter, but like how can we contribute to spreading the word about these things and advertising, this stuff? Because like you said earlier, like there's just so much, right?
There's
So
so
like how can we just together as a district do a better job of advertising all these opportunities for our teachers so everybody is in the know? And
right.
I don't know if you have thoughts on that, or maybe there are different things that I'm unaware of where to go. And
Well, as new teachers, a lot of times the district-wide mentors will give you information that they think would be beneficial. Your building rep, every month they hear what's going on for that month, and they can give you information. We have the newsletter. We have different events that you can sign up to join. There is if you're want to be involved in anything political, we have a legislative liaisons group. They meet monthly and they talk about all the latest legislation, and they do actions with the state and, nationally. So just get involved with, check out the emails, click on the links to sign up, because a lot of times it's just a Google Doc that takes a minute or two, and just get involved.
I'm a chronic not check my emailer, so
Oh, okay.
open my email, it sounds like.
Yes. And talk to your building rep. There are people in your building who will know things of what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I always forget that like I have a literal union rep in my building. I don't know why, like
You have two.
whenever I know,
You
I
have
know, I know I
two.
do. And I have
Yeah.
a great one too. And I actually, I've started to get to know Anna pretty well. Or better, I should say. And
Anna is great.
I just sometimes forget that she is a union rep.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I forget that. But yeah, I should be, asking her a lot more questions than I have been.
Yeah. Kelly, do you have other questions?
Not really. No, you answered them all with your quick email.
Yeah.
Checking my email.
Check your email, because you never know what's going on.
Well, if there's no more questions, we've reached the end of our time together and the end of this episode. And, unfortunately, the end of this conversation series. I want to thank President Sellers for joining us today to offer her perspective on new teacher supports. And I really want to thank Sam and Kelly one last time for joining us over the past school year. I have learned so much from both of you, and I'm sure other teachers have as well. Your stories have offered such powerful insight on what new teachers want and need. I hope you have enjoyed this experience, and I look forward to seeing how you two grow and thrive in the coming years as educators. And finally, thanks to all our listeners on Welcome to Teaching.